Jahwan, Jahwan, Chihwa, Chihwa, Chimota, Chimota, Sasam, Sasam.
Next we have affricates. So this group of letters start off as a glottal stop, and then they turn into fricatives. So the first three letters that we're going to look at here are like this, where we're closing our glottis to start off, and then we're releasing the sound, and when we're doing that, we're kind of making our vocal tract a little bit smaller, and that constriction of your vocal tract causes the fricative sound. The first letter is Z. So the Z is very different in á'islak than it is in English. So in English, sometimes you'll think of the word zoo when you think of the letter Z. But when we use it in á'islak, it sounds more like the D and Z combination in the word ads. So it's not like the Z sound in zoo. The Z sound comes after a D sound. So it makes more of a Z sound. We also have the letter C. Again, it's very different in á'islak than it is in English. So think of the word bits in English. So it makes more of a ts sound, although it's a bit softer than that. So in bits, it's a little bit more of a pronounced, kind of a sharper sound. In á'islak, it's a little bit softer than that. And we also have a C with an apostrophe over top of it. And again, this is a glottalized sound. So it's like the ts sound, but we're closing our glottis before we make that ts sound, and we're pushing out the air a little bit faster. Something a little bit more like that. And last we have the letter S. And in English, think of the letter of the word sat. It's very similar to what you hear in á'islak. And the way that this sound is produced is you're closing your teeth, not all the way, but you're leaving a small opening between them, and the air is going out between that opening between your teeth, and it's bouncing around. That's what causes the s sound. So that kind of sound is called a fricative. So we see that in the letter S. In this video, we will be talking about affricate sounds. So an affricate is a sound that starts as a glottal stop, and then becomes a fricative sound. So glottal stop, we're closing our glottis, closing our vocal cords. So that's what the glottal stop refers to. So that's how the sound starts. And then it becomes a fricative, which means that you're closing part of your vocal tract. Not completely, but closing it part way. And that's forcing air to come out through a smaller space and producing what they call a fricative, which is basically caused by the air going through a smaller space and causing friction. So it's basically caused by turbulence because of the fact that it's going through a smaller opening. So the first letter we're going to take a look at is Z. Now, these are usually referred to as alveolar affricates because it involves using our alveolar ridge here. So we're taking our tongue, pulling it up towards the little bump behind our upper front teeth. So a Z in á'islak sounds like the Z in zahwan, which means ulakan. So the Z is not like it is in English. So in English we have the word zoo. It's different in á'islak. So it's more of a Z sound, but it's kind of starting with a D. So the D is kind of more like the glottal stop. So you're making a D sound. And then it transitions into a Z. D, Z, Z. Kind of like the word ads in English. So when you see a Z in á'islak, think of a D and a Z together. Zahwan. And then we have C. C is also very different than it is in English. So a á'isla example would be tihwa. Tihwa refers to crab apples. Refers to specifically the fruit. Tihwa. So think of the letters TS together. So TS, like in the English word bits. That's about the closest we can get in English. That is a little bit sharper. So the true pronunciation of the regular C, it's kind of between a TS, like a ts, and ch. It's somewhere in between those two sounds. So it's not as sharp as ts, and it's not as heavy as ch. It's kind of in between there. Ts. And we also have a C with an apostrophe over top of it, like in the word tsimotsa. So you can see there's two C's with apostrophes over top of them. So we can't really hear well, actually you can hear them both pretty well. So it's like the regular C, but the apostrophe over top of it tells us it's a glottalized sound. So we're closing our glottis, and we're forcing the air out a little bit more forcefully. Tsimotsa, tsimotsa, as opposed to tsikwa, tsikwa. So regular C is kind of a softer sound. Glottalized C is a little bit more forceful. And then we have S. And the example we can use here is sasam, which is children. So it's just like the S in English, and the way this sound is produced is through us bringing our teeth closer together, so they're almost closed but not quite. The air comes out. When it passes through our teeth, it's a smaller opening, so the sound is kind of bouncing around really quickly in between our teeth. That's the fricative sound. S is a fricative sound. So those are alveolar affricate sounds.